This is an audit using Boca Raton as my sample. A well-designed sample can provide high confidence up to 95% while being efficient. First thing represented is waste, idle time, dormancy, and no man hours on machines, which are needed in other countries. Here are the machines. Actually, I had about 20 pictures of machines. There's a lot of machines around Delray Beach and Boca Raton. These are some Boca Raton machines. This is a store that rents machines that people need to make roads, to develop cities, to dig reservoirs, and ports and infrastructure. This is waste of water, food, and recycling. That costs $11. Pollo Tropical. That's a man. That's the water as tall as the man being wasted. And that is where I used to work. They don't recycle aluminum, plastic, and glass or cardboard. That's in the dumpster. I used to work there. Okay, so we have all the failed banks. And since January 2016, I've been in every bank from Wells Fargo, Chase, and all them. I'm into credit unions now. And I didn't know the Nigerians were putting me through this, and I don't know why they chose me. But some little things they said give me indication that Americans were talking to Nigerians. Of course, President Obama's father is Nigerian. So I guess President Obama and all his political allies were aligned with Nigeria. So I worked with Nigeria for 4 years on Bitcoin. I was making money and they started out with a white man picture. I said, why you have a white man's picture here? They say, well, it's good for business. And then I said to him, does Tiger Woods put a white man's picture? Anyway, I grew to love him, JJ, because he taught me Bitcoin, and then I was reading white papers and summarizing white papers. And I still talk to him, but he turned dirty. He sent me a counterfeit check. So I still speak to him because what he taught me about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is very valuable. And no, I speak to him, but I'm really picking his brains because I'm always on YouTube and Facebook listening to other people. Okay, so the United States has $11.8 million homes, which are worth over $1 million. And the Baldwin House, the president of FAU's house, is valued at $2 million. And this is the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall, quietly adjacent to the Florida Atlantic University property. Jehovah's Witnesses have 70,000 Kingdom Halls like this. And they're always in a good neighborhood. This is the property which the Jehovah's Witnesses sold to the Kushners for US $340 million. There are 6 properties in New York. This was the biggest one. When Trump was president, it was sold to Kushners. And Charles Kushner went to prison for not paying his taxes. And because they did not choose a neutral party like Switzerland, but they chose Charles Kushner, it helped me to stop being brainwashed by Jehovah's Witnesses, because I said, well, if you can sell to Charles Kushner, I can celebrate 4th of July. I can celebrate Thanksgiving. So, now using Delray Beach also. Delray Beach is a very different city, where I worked for 5 years after working for the state, federal government, European Union, and government of Jamaica. This is Delray Beach construction machines. They are doing gentrification in Delray at an alarming rate. When I worked there, they took out an African-American man's property and put a hotel on Atlantic Avenue. But some developers had a master plan, and one of the bribes I saw was that they would email us and say, the builder is catering lunch, go to the conference room. So for 5 years, especially around the holidays, and a developer in Delray who built an $8 million shopping center to go to DCF at Linton Boulevard and Federal Highway, he spoke to my husband's attorney and got me a brand new Lennar luxury townhouse. So Delray Beach is very questionable. I have contacted the FBI and the CIA about all of these things because these things happen so quickly. And then they pushed me out of my job. The girl came in, her sister is the office manager of the attorney. So they pushed me out to cover up the transaction and everything that was happening. But this machine here is a 500,000 machine, $500,000 machine. Delray Beach is going up high more than Boca Raton, especially because they developed Atlantic Avenue right out to the beach and they have a really big hotel, the Opal and the Sea View, right on the Atlantic Ocean. So tourism, last night I went to their Christmas party. It's so phenomenal, really good. You can't say anything bad about that wonderful Christmas party. They had some seesaws for the children. They have lights inside them and they're round so the children can't get hurt. However, I noticed the bill kill situation. I started using words from other people. So in about 2022, there was a machine used to carry things onto to tall buildings that fell. And a guy told me that people always get hurt from that machine. So I call that bill kill. So now they have this machine instead. This is a bigger machine than the one that I saw the men get hurt on. This is a $500,000 machine. Does not fall and hurt people. This is Delray Beach. That's the police. That's the SWAT vehicle. It looks like a military vehicle. Very nice. So I guess the police are protected, so they should spend that kind of money. It's a beautiful vehicle. And that's the SWAT vehicle. I actually saw these two come by me by the Delray Beach Library. I'm like, what the hell? I thought it was the military. Anyway, so this is the gentrification. They took out check cashing store to other small stores. And the developers are so rich, they're probably from all over the world and all over the US, millionaires and billionaires. They have a master plan to take 2 blocks north and south of Atlantic Avenue. And if I didn't work for the city of Delray Beach, I would not have seen the master plan and see it get started. And this looks really, really nice. This Sunday Village. This used to be Sunday, behind Sunday Village is Sunday House, a hotel, which was sort of very organic with fish ponds and things like that. And now they turn it to extend it to Sunday Village, and I suppose they will update the hotel behind it. So I'm going to another form of waste, which is the $35 billion failed ecosystem. And the taxpayers and billionaires like James Batmasian Investments Limited, he has a charity called Change Life, which supports people who are going through drug rehabs and alcohol rehabilitation and stuff like that. So in another video, we have a video about the failed ecosystem and the swivel door of care. But it's such a coincidence for me when I was making the video that I was in Delray and these two men right here, I took a picture of them. They offered me some beer and gave me $2 because I'd seen them before in Delray. Because this guy over here also got terminated from the city of Delray Beach and he had a house and he lost his house just like I lost my house. He said, terminate you. But anyway, so they said when they fall out, they will put us in rehab. So I said, oh, I need that for my video. So that's a swivel door. This is a picture of people who are successful in getting off drugs. So that was the Chinese DeepSeek AI, which said it's a failed ecosystem. China also has some narcotics problem, but they do some very, very drastic measures. But since Donald Trump was bombing the cartel boats in the Caribbean, I asked the AI, I said, whose fault is it, the supplier or the user? So there was this long argument by the AI. But I remember when I worked at Walgreens for 5 years, that people would come in with fake prescriptions because if they can't get crack, they would try to get high on prescription drugs. So if you get rid of all the cartels and all the cocaine and everything like that, there would be people who are not being parented correctly or people who are not taught values from they are 2 years old that will try drugs and narcotics. So this is just a picture that I pulled off the military down there bombing the cartel boats. And of course, USA wins because now they have, I don't know if Elon Musk did this, but this is the armored giant robot for the military. Incredible. I guess it's a version of driving a armored vehicle. So it looks like a big transformer. So Bill Gates was all choked up about the USA being so spoiled all those years, and he said he's gonna give Africa $200 billion. But Africa tells the other side of the story and said that Bill Gates does a lot of experimentation on GMOs on Africans. So everybody has a complaint, but I'm glad to say that Bill Gates did have an admission of guilt, and the big men don't usually admit any guilt. So thank you, Bill Gates. So this audit is really about bullying, waste, global inequity for the court, and more irreparable than World War One and World War Two is the IMF interest rate exploitation, especially of Africa. Africa paid 9% interest to 20% interest on all their IMF loans, and they still don't have enough dams for water for the children. And in South Cameroon, children did not go to school for 2 years. In Kenya, they have some children living in a cave who did not eat for 4 days at a time. So, although we don't have the bombings and infrastructure damage of World War II, we have the financial problems. And the financial problems which came out of the manipulations forced kleptocracy, assassinations, and genocide in Africa. So, Professor Lumumba, I think, is the one who complains about how people in Africa they get $5 million from a rich white person, they'll take it and kill their friend. But there's really Africa has all the gold, all the diamonds, all the resources, the minerals, and everything. But if they can't work together, they will never get out of this hole they're in, and being forever defeated will be a reality. A properly framed claim or charge in a civil case, a well pleaded complaint or petition stating a recognizable cause of action and the relief sought. A criminal case, a charging document, information, indictment, citation that alleges each statutory element of the offense. Without a legally sufficient pleading, the court will dismiss long before trial. So we're trying to use the audit to meet the legal requirements to identify relevant time periods, events, and transactions. An end-to-end audit for the court typically refers to a comprehensive examination of a process, transaction, or system from start to finish, with the results being used as evidence in legal proceedings. The audit report is evidence in ongoing litigation, preparing to testify, or want to understand the process. So the legal requirements identify relevant time periods and events, integrity, authenticity, and admissibility of evidence. Evidence must meet admissibility standards, relevance, and reliability. If there's a trial presentation that survives objections. Voir dire, jury selection free of reversible error, opening statements that outline but do not argue evidence, direct and cross-examinations that comply with evidence rules, exhibits formally offered and admitted into the record, proper use of motions, the mind-directed verdict, JMOL, closing arguments that tie admitted evidence to legal elements, accurate, timely, purpose jury instruction, or finding of facts for a bench trial. I want to thank Dr. Arikana Shimbori of Zimbabwe, President Ibrahim Traore, Burkina Faso, Professor Lamama Kenya, Panjunior Stevie Sandra Apia Ghana, Lynn Nuje Kenya, Mr. DJ Bakwali Kenya, Professor Dr. Howard Nicholas Sri Lanka, Dr. Fadel Kabub Ohio, Bill Gates USA for giving us that number of US $200 billion, John Bertrand Aristide of Haiti for giving us a number of $21 billion, Professor Victor Go of China for looking at the financial manipulations. Thank you. All these people who audited the financial manipulations, all these auditors who gave estimates, all these erudites who felt some guilt, all these brave people who spoke out, all the Dakinis like Dr. Arkan Ashiambori Kwa, who got fired. Thank you.